First awesome deal we have tonight is Jennifer McMurtray, and I hope I didn't butcher her last name here.
Sounds right.
So, welcome.
All right, Jennifer.
So, the deal you have is a non-performing note.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, this is a property in Savannah, Georgia, and I didn't buy the property, I bought the note. This was a 14-month deal that I did with a joint venture partner. The property is worth about $40,000 by our estimation. I never did see this property. I do a lot of online research, but I always have somebody that knows the market go by and look at the property. In this case, I hired somebody to do a BPO or broker's price opinion. They thought it was, you can see the range there, 36 to 41. I think it's really worth closer to 40 to 45, and then it appraised even higher when we ended up selling it. Although I think those appraisals are much too high. The thing that's really important in a note deal is the borrower and the terms of the note. Flip to the next slide, thanks. So this was a first position, a non-performing note. She was about 6 months behind in her payments, and she was in bankruptcy. And you can see that she had agreed to buy the note buy the house for about $65,000 back in 2008. She got a 30-year loan at 6%, and she was doing pretty well. I mean, she was really close on her amortization schedule. At this point, when I was looking at it, which was about April of last year, she owed about $55,800 on it. Her monthly payment was $388. And she was someone who didn't make a lot of money, but she had a long history with that house. And you saw from the picture that it looks pretty good. If it looks pretty good on the outside, we assume that it looks pretty good on the inside. She had been the caretaker for the elderly couple that owned it before she did. And when the gentleman died, she was the trustee for the woman, and then she ended up buying the house. She clearly has pride of ownership, but mostly that area that she's in, it's a Savannah neighborhood that is gentrifying, and the rents are going for like $775 to $1,200 a month. She's paying $388 a month for her principal and interest payment. If you add the taxes and insurance, she's probably still around like $550 or $600. So it makes a lot of sense for her to pay the smaller amount, pay her mortgage, pay her taxes, and insurance, and own something rather than paying rent and not owning anything at the end of it. So we were planning to either, if she could pay for it, keep her in the house and resell it after a while as a reperforming mortgage, or if she was not able to afford the house, then we would take the house back and either rent it for a year or sell it on owner financing. So we bought it for $31,900. Next slide, please. And that was about 57% of the unpaid balance. So fortunately, she was able to afford the payment. She was working with her trustee. That's the good thing about bankruptcy, is somebody gets a trustee that helps to teach them about how to manage their credit and manage their money and pay off their debts. And the great thing is when somebody is reperforming, then they're making extra payments to catch up. So in 9 months, we received 15 months worth of payments. Between that and selling the note, we made $49,000, almost $49,200. We also, we sold it in two, I sold a partial and then I sold the rest of the note. So altogether, we're at $49,196. The purchase price and the expenses, we had very low expenses, that came to $32,500. So that was a net profit of $16,686, or 45% return on investment over 14 months. And as I said, I had a joint venture partner on this one. He put in $37,000. He put in all the money, and he got half of the profit. So he made $8,343, and I made the same amount. I didn't put any of my own money in, but I did all the work to find the note and to work it out. And the great thing is the bank that bought the note from us got a really good deal, and the borrower gets to stay in her house. So that was a pretty successful note deal. And I just want to point out that for $37,000, that's not really enough to flip a house, but it is enough to do a note deal like this.
Absolutely. For $16,000, for not even having to worry about the house or anything, it's
right.
Now, when you said you sold part of the note, how did that work?
Well, what happened was for this, when you have a mortgage like that, I never self-service, so I have a servicing company that's sending them all the information, communicating with the borrower. And for a performing note, my servicer charges $15 a month, $30 for a non-performing note, and so we were paying the 30 because the bankruptcy was going on. Even after she started to reperform, she got current by November of last year, but they were still charging me the 30. That was okay, but they were about to jump it up to $95 a month because of some new rule that was going in about bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
So I really wanted to sell it, but they couldn't really pay me properly for that note until she was out of bankruptcy. So first I sold them a 4-year partial. I sold them 4 years worth of payments. And I think they gave me like they paid 64 cents on the dollar for what they would collect over that period of time. And then when she got out of bankruptcy, then I could sell them the rest of the note for 80 cents on the dollar.
That's great. Where did you end up finding the note to begin with?
It came from a hedge fund.
Okay.
I wanted to sell it.
And where did you find a buyer for it?
I went to a bank that is well known for buying mortgages. Having to do it again, I probably would have gone to that bank and gotten their number and then gone to the open market, because honestly, there's just a lot of demand for good paying notes, especially if you're offering them at a discount. So
Absolutely.
I think I could have sold it privately.
So, any questions? Yes, sir.
I have two questions. One is the $388 per month after restructuring, or was that what she was supposed to pay in the beginning?
That's what it always was. He asked about the 388, if that was a restructured. We didn't actually do any kind of modification to her mortgage. She was only 6 months behind, and she basically, she'd make a single payment, then a double payment, single, double, until she caught up. So it wasn't too hard. That was her original mortgage payment amount.
Okay, and the other part is, are you permitted to speak with the bankruptcy trustee to find out where they're going with it, or is that outbound?
You can't speak with anybody before you own.
Repeat the question.
Oh, the question was, are you allowed to speak to the bankruptcy trustee to see what's going on? Bottom line is not really, and they're really busy and they don't call you back anyway. Until you own the note, you can't talk to the borrower, you can't go in the property, you don't know what the condition of the property is on the inside. It's sort of a big unknown. But in bankruptcy, there's tremendous public records out there if you know where to look for them. So you can see what's going on with that person. You can look at their bankruptcy plan. Most people in bankruptcy fail within the first year. And this woman had been it's a 5-year plan, and she was in the 4th year of it. So that was actually a pretty good indication that she was going to go forward with it. And so there's a lot of information. You can tell if somebody, like when you're seeing all their credit and expenses, all their creditors, you can see if it's for luxury items or, say, medical expenses. You get a really good sense when someone's in bankruptcy of what's going on in their life.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What I want to know is, how much time do you estimate you spent on this deal?
How much time did you estimate that you spent total working on this deal?
The biggest amount of time is before I ever bring it to a joint venture partner, because I go through like literally thousands of notes before I find something that I think is going to be worthwhile. Once I got it, then, I would say maybe like 80 hours altogether, like a couple weeks if you stretch it all out. There wasn't that much to do once she started reperforming, and my servicer earned their money and did a lot of the work. But it's finding the deals really that takes the biggest amount of time.
Okay. You got a question?
How do you initially find this note, or how do you find your notes?
How do you find the notes?
I found this note by going to a note seller, and they were selling for a hedge fund. And so I just looked at what they had.
Any other questions? Todd?
You said the BPO was for 40. How in the world did the bank pay 49 if the BPO is 40?
Well, that was just, it's really an estimate. When you look at everything, Zillow and all of those things, they were all over the place. And the bank, I think, was way overestimating. When I really looked at what the comps were, people were buying houses in that neighborhood in as-is condition for like between 26 and 50. And if they fixed them up, meaning probably putting 40 grand in it, then you could get 70 to 125 for it. So as far as I'm concerned, it was really an estimate. But the main thing is don't think of it as what is the house worth. Look at what the mortgage is worth. I wasn't buying the house, so it wasn't. That's the thing. Like I was buying that note for 31.9, and I was thinking it was worth 40. That's not a good deal if it's a house, but you're buying the mortgage. The unpaid balance was $55,800 something dollars. That's what you're looking at, and that's what you're reselling. So it was based on what I could, like a discount off that, not off the value of the home. When someone is paying their mortgage and their taxes and all, you have so many strategies to make money from it. It's when you're buying a non-performing note and they're not paying, then you have less choices, or it's more expensive, and getting out of it is smaller profits. Anybody else?
Any other questions? No?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was an awesome deal. Thanks for sharing. And here's your... Thank you.